Okay, this video is instructor feedback for our short essay quiz on our client John. Um, now, just a reminder that this is our only case study where our client is the an actual person and not an actor. Um, so, with that in mind, we focus on protective factors and risk factors. Um, on the protective factor, what we get from this video is that it seems like John has pretty good access to not just healthcare, but pretty good integrated care, which the VA being one of the few places that really has the infrastructure to provide that, or at least provide as effectively as we talk about in integrated health. Well, at least in my integrated health class here in our program. Um, you know th- here's my experience with the VA. Some people, some meaning people meaning clients who then seek care outside of the VA, or they were in the VA. Usually they were in the VA at one time, and then as they um, leave, they transition to a civilian job, or they pick up a civilian job rather with commercial insurance. Then they may come and see me. That's how I would interact with somebody who's also involved with the VA. Um, um, my experience has been that some people report like they've had a great experience there. Other people, not so much. I think so. I guess the best advice I can give you is don't assume. Don't assume that it's awesome, that they've had a great experience. Don't assume that they've had a bad experience. Just ask them about it. How has your care been? Um, and if there's someone who's connected with the VA system or was in some circumstances. So the other protective factor is at this point, two things are positive about John, at least in this current space and time, and that is that he has had relatively minimal cognitive impact, um, and he's mobile. He's mobile with a cane, but he's moves around. He's able to ambulate pretty well, or at least what I gather from the video, using the cane. Of course, the number one risk factor is what's connected to that, which is the reality for people with a condition like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Lewy bodies. Um, Most of the conditions within the neurocognitive disease section of the DSM are going to get worse. Even if they have the best care available, over time they're going to decline. And there's just nothing at this point in time, as you and I I'm recreating this video and you're watching it. At this point in time, we have some treatments to slow it down, but the decline is inevitable. So that's maybe the number one risk factor. Another one for John is that he's somewhat isolated, and that's in terms of our involvement with him as social worker and therapist is to see if we can help him out with that. And talk through some ideas of how to help him be more socially engaged. In this case, maybe if there's an opportunity to interact with this treatment team, that he's got this really strong connection at the VA. So there may be other resources there that we can tap into if we were involved with John as an outside provider. Um, and grief. So two things about grief with John is that there's real grief about loss of job, and loss of hobbies that he used to enjoy. Um, well, one, I guess those are grief. We can help him with those things in terms of the current grief that he's experiencing. The other thing I think we have to keep in mind is that sadly for John, the losses will continue to mount over time. He's going to lose his mobility, as an example, and which is a terrible thing, and that's going to be a grief. And the loss of cognitive deterioration may also, he may very well experience grief over that. So just knowing that unfortunately, there's an ongoing grief journey for John. We have stuff that he's grieving in the present, and there's going to be more grief for him down the road, unfortunately. Um, and then, in terms of safety, I would definitely. So the comment about what if I just stopped all my medication, as the way he expresses it, um, you want to make sure you don't ignore it, and you also want to make sure you don't, you don't like, hey, we got to send you to the emergency room right now, unless he starts expressing, some, like a clear plan and intent, and he probably does have access to means with his medication regimen. So we know he has access to means with his medication regimen. I think the way he expresses it in the video is, we want to encourage him to keep talking with us about it. And just monitor to see if it goes from sort of vague thoughts to something where he's expressing or displaying more intent along those lines. Okay, so that's it. John, this is an interesting case study, one, because it's a real human being, and captured in a place and time that, as I record this video, probably a number of years ago now. And it gives us an opportunity to take a look at someone with a condition like Parkinson's, where it is a it's a degenerative disease, and he's going to, no matter how well he takes care of himself and how good the health care is that he receives, he's going to continue to decline. And so those are two things that are noteworthy about this case study. So anyway, that's the feedback. I hope this was helpful to you.